Hi, and welcome to the Match Game. This series will guide you through various strategies to identify your unknown Family Finder matches. I'm your host, Katy Rowe-Schurwanz, and I know y'all are excited to play, so let's get started. We're going to start with a super short review of some of the science behind putting the genetics in genetics genealogy. The Family Finder is the name of the autosomal DNA test at FamilyTreeDNA. While Y-DNA gets passed down only from father to son, and mitochondrial DNA gets passed down only from mother to child, autosomal DNA is passed down from both parents. And autosomal DNA refers to the DNA found in your 22 pairs of non-sex chromosomes, so chromosomes 1 through 22. You inherit one set of those chromosomes from each parent. Each set will be comprised of a random mix of what your parents inherited from their parents, which they inherited from their parents, and they inherited from their parents, and so on and so on. Because it's a mix from all of your recent ancestors, it can be used to trace all branches of your family tree. But because it's randomly passed down and because it divides in half every generation, you may inherit more from one ancestor than from another. For example, your mom may have passed down more of grandma's DNA to you than of grandpa's DNA. And then the further back on your tree you go, the less likely it is that you'll have inherited DNA from an ancestor in that portion of your tree, or that you'll match with someone for whom that is your most recent common ancestor. So the Family Finder is best used to confirm connections and find new connections to ancestors going back about only 5 to 7 generations or so on your family tree. And the way you're going to do that is through matching. So if you're anything like me, when you got your results back and you looked at your match list, you may have said to yourself, who are all these people? Well, most of them are your cousins, but it's going to be a puzzle to figure out how they're your cousins. This 3-part series will walk you through how to put that puzzle together so that you can confirm your paper trail and find new branches on your family tree. So welcome to part 1. Let's get started. Okay, so once you've gotten past, oh my goodness, who are all these people? Where do you start then? And the next few slides will cover what to do with your known matches so that they can help you identify unknown ones. And then also the first things to check with your own known matches, so their shared family trees and ancestral surnames, and also how to use group projects and FamilyTreeDNA's advanced matches tool to your advantage. You're going to start with the matches that you know on your match list. If you don't know any of the matches on your list, that's fine too. It'll be easier if you have some that you do know, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. You're just going to skip this first step in that case. And if you're starting without a family tree or with a very small one, stick around for part 3 of the series and we'll go through how you can still use the strategies that we're about to go through. Your known matches can help you identify others that you don't know yet through several tools that we'll cover in this part of the series, and then in part 2 when we look at DNA. The first thing that you're going to do is link your known matches on your family tree. You'll need to have connected your kit to a tree on MyHeritage in order to do this. FamilyTreeDNA then has a tool that you can use called Family Matching. You'll want to link each known match that only shares DNA on one side of your family, so like a paternal uncle or a maternal cousin. You can link your full siblings, children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews as well, but they're not going to update anything in your match list with the Family Matching tool. But with the matches that are linked to only one side, FamilyTreeDNA will find other matches in your list that share the same overlapping DNA segments with both you and that linked match, and will assign them to a parental side and filter them. Now, I know I just said that we're going to go over DNA in part 2, but the DNA part of the family matching tool only happens on our computers in the background. These family matching assignments, these parental side assignments, will cut the list of potential ancestors that you might share with a match in half. So if the match is assigned paternal, then you don't need to look at your mother's side of the tree. If the match is assigned maternal, then you don't need to look at your father's side of the tree. In order to link your matches, first you need to connect your kit to a tree on MyHeritage, and there's information in the syllabus to help guide you through that process. Once you've done that, find a match on your Family Finder match list that you have confirmed your relationship with. Make sure your family tree on MyHeritage is built out to include that match. So if it's your first cousin through your paternal aunt, make sure your parents and paternal grandparents are in your tree, and your dad's sister, and then her son or daughter that is your cousin. Underneath the relationship range in the middle of the row for your known match, click Link on Family Tree. This will open a box where you can search for that person in your tree. Make sure you're searching with the name from your tree if it's different from the name that they put on their DNA account. Select the result that represents them in your tree and click Link at the bottom of the box. In the background, FamilyTreeDNA will compare the DNA you share with that match and find other matches on your list that match both you and the match on the same set DNA segments, and will assign all of them to a parental side based on where you linked them in your family tree. This tool is going to come up again later in part 2, so bookmark this to come back and watch again. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the people that you don't recognize. The first thing you'll want to look at are their shared family trees. FamilyTreeDNA currently has 3 different options for trees that a match can share with you. You can share a tree that's on MyHeritage. You can enter your WikiTree ID and share that. Or you may have built a family tree at FamilyTreeDNA before they were discontinued, and we have that tree archived. So start by looking for names that are also in your tree when you're looking at a matches tree. If you don't find any, look for places that are also on your tree. And of course, remember to verify the information in your matches shared family tree. Make sure that their paper trail is correct. We've all run into trees online that aren't backed up by sources and are wrong, so make sure you're not repeating mistakes and bad information. And if your matches tree doesn't have any sources attached to it, or if it's not very big, there are lots of resources out there that can help you verify and expand the information. Some of those are free and some are not. I use a combination of WikiTree, Family Search, Find a Grave, Genie, Ancestry, MyHeritage. I'm probably forgetting some, but use everything that's available to you. A lot of local libraries will have subscriptions for paid sites, especially if it's a genealogy library. You'll also want to leave notes next to your matches on your match list so that when you come back later on, you can see what research that you've already done on them. You can also benefit from some of the connection finding features at both MyHeritage and WikiTree. At MyHeritage, some of their tools require a subscription, but one really useful one is available for free, the Cousin Finder. Cousin Finder looks for other people on MyHeritage, so they're people who have DNA tested or people who just have a family tree on MyHeritage, and they look for people whose trees have a shared ancestor with you. This can help you expand your tree and the information in your matches trees, and it can also find cousins to target tests with DNA to connect to other matches to specific ancestral lines, which we're going to cover in part 2. In contrast, WikiTree's tools are all free without a subscription or payment. One of my favorite WikiTree tools is the My Cousins tool under Connections. It lists all the people on WikiTree who are connected to you through a shared ancestor and who that ancestor is. They might not all be DNA tested or DNA tested on FamilyTreeDNA, but you can search their names in your match list to see if they are. Another WikiTree feature that I love is DNA Connections. On each ancestor profile, you can see a list of WikiTree members who have added their DNA tests to their profiles and connect to this ancestor. It also tells you which DNA testing company you can find them at. So find them on your Family Finder match list, and if you've also got the name of your shared ancestor right there from WikiTree. You'll also be able to view and search any ancestral surnames that your matches have added through their genealogy settings. These can give you another hint as to who the most recent common ancestor with an unknown match is. Now, just because you both have the same ancestral surname in your tree, it doesn't mean that those two ancestors are related or that the information is verified and backed up with sources. So this is just a possible hint. For example, my maiden name is Rowe. It has over 100,000 people with that last name in England, the US, and Canada, according to Family Search. In contrast, also according to Family Search, for my husband's last name, Schurwanz, there are 72 people in Germany with that last name. And then they were off a little bit with the US. Family Search said there was only 7 people, but my husband, his brothers, their wives and children, and his father make up 13 people. So I know all of those people. If one of my matches has a row in their tree or in their ancestral surnames, it's probably not my same ancestral line, but I'm definitely going to check it out to make sure. Conversely, if my husband gets a match with a Schurwanz in their tree or as an ancestral surname, I'd be willing to bet that I can find a common Schurwanz ancestor with that. So when you find a match with an ancestral surname that's also in your tree, look at the match's tree to find that ancestor. Make sure it's backed up with records, investigate the location, siblings, and ancestors of that individual to find where you'll connect or if you connect. FamilyTreeDNA is unique amongst testing companies in that we also host group research projects that are run by passionate volunteers. Projects are free to join, and they bring together people to collaborate towards a specific genealogical goal. That goal might be tracing a particular surname from colonial America back to Europe, or connecting the shared genetic and genealogical heritage of a particular group or geographic region. There are over 11,000 group projects, many of which that have been running for 20 years or more. Many of our volunteer group project administrators have been researching their ancestral lines for decades, and that research gets shared and expanded upon in FamilyTreeDNA's group projects. FamilyTreeDNA also hosts a conference for group administrators as well as monthly virtual events. We keep them updated and cover various topics like recent and upcoming advancements in testing and analysis, the best ways to help group project members, and more. These are some of the most passionate people in the genetic genealogy community, and they're ready to collaborate with you and help you find success. One really cool tool on FamilyTreeDNA that you can use when you've joined group projects or if you've tested multiple types of DNA, like you've done a Family Finder and a Y-DNA test, or a Family Finder and an mtDNA test. That tool's advanced matches. This can be really helpful for autosomal DNA when used in combination with group projects. The group project search in advanced matches is another way to find hints about which ancestral line your unknown matches connect to. So you can load your Family Finder matches in advanced matches and then filter them by which matches are in the same group projects as you. I'm using my grandmother's results as an example here. So I've joined my grandmother to group projects for as many of her ancestral surnames as I can, as well as geographical projects for the locations her ancestors were from. Under the Advanced Matches report, I've selected her Family Finder matches, and then I filter the report through each group project one at a time. On this slide, I've selected to show Family Finder matches that are also in the Atwell surname project. We've got 2 Family Finder matches in that project. One is my known cousin, and the other is an unknown match. The unknown match has a shared tree on FamilyTreeDNA, and their mother is an Atwell, but the match hasn't added any ancestors on that line beyond their mother. They did include their mother's birth and death dates and locations, so I was able to find information on Family Search and connect them back to ancestors on my tree, my 4th great-grandparents, John Atwell and Elizabeth Webster. This match is also a really good example of how you won't always match the further back you go on your tree due to random recombination and the DNA dividing in half each generation. So my grandmother, my known cousin, and this match all are in the same group project. We all share the same most recent common ancestor, John Atwell and Elizabeth Webster. My grandmother matches both of them, but my known cousin doesn't match the previously unknown match. And to learn how I use DNA tools like the chromosome browser and the matrix to figure that out and to follow the clues in your own match list, join me for part 2 in this series. We've covered a lot of topics here, and luckily it's virtual, so you can come back and watch it again and again and again and again. But there's also some other resources out there on the internet to help you with the things that I've covered here. I've listed a few of my favorites here, and you can also find them in the syllabus. FamilyTreeDNA's Help Center and blog have a ton of great information. Roberta Estes' book, The Complete Guide to Family Tree DNA, is truly a complete guide. And her blog, DNA Explained, is a treasure trove of genetic genealogy tips and tricks. And I also love Diane Southard's Your DNA Guide. She's got a blog, books, quick guides, and offers great webinars and courses. Join me for part 2 and learn how to follow the DNA clues in your match list, plus some tips for how to organize your research and keep track of your work.